Hi, I'm Luke. I'm going to show you the differences between the Locator systems available. We have the Locator Mini Rail, the Locator Classic, and the Locator Extra, and I'll be covering all three of these in this short video. So firstly, I'll point out that there are two colors available. There's an anodized silver. It's clear anodized, which means when it's processed, it takes on the color of the aluminium itself. Just trying to get the light right to show you there. So this is the mini rail. It's 17 millimeters high and 9 millimeters deep. This is the Locator Classic. This is a white, so this is our other standard color. This is a powder coated color, so it's a very tough finish, and it's architectural white, which is the same as architectural windows and doors that you may or may not have seen in homes and offices and things like that. So this is 25 millimeters high. This is 9 millimeters deep as well. And then also we have the last one in the Locator range, which is the Locator Extra. Now the Locator Classic and the Locator Extra are very similar. The main difference is the Locator Extra has this extended face on it. Now that's the front and that's the back. The reason for the extended face is so that you can drill right up into close to the top of the wall near the ceiling, and then when this rail clips over the fixings, the top of the rail touches the ceiling line, and then we just run a bead of acrylic filler along there just to make it nice and neat. The mini rail and the Classic are usually installed up underneath a cornice or a bit further down the wall. This one is actually used if a square set ceiling has a shadow line. We don't recommend trying to put the Locator Extra up in the shadow line because you can't get it that high, and it does look a bit messy sometimes. So what we actually do with shadow line, often referred to as P60, is we come down about 15 millimeters from the ceiling line. That preserves the shadow line and it just looks nice and neat. This one here is usually used instead of the mini rail if there is either a ceiling that's too high or you just want to come down the wall slightly. And the reason for that is just adds a bit more of a feature. You can see in the video that is running in the background here that this is the Locator Classic and it's being used a bit further down the wall. It just looks a bit better than the other rails when it's installed. So the way the fixings work, so we have a little button, we call them clips, and then they get screwed into a stud if it's a plasterboard wall, or you can obviously put this into masonry walls as well. And then the rail itself, oops, it's got a bit of a connector in there. The rail itself clips over the fixing like that. So you can see that when it's inserted into the rail, the front of the rail conceals the fixing. So it's a very neat system. There's no screw heads visible. We supply, on all of the Locator range, we supply 3 fixings per meter, and when they're evenly spaced, so if they're going into studs or into masonry, evenly spacing them will give you 25 kilograms per lineal meter, which means you can hang up to 25 kilograms per meter. Connectors. These are similar to the fixings. They're obviously, they can be screwed to the wall, but they don't have to be. And the idea of these is that the screw to the wall, the rail clips over halfway, and then the other rail is clipped in next to it, and that makes sure that the rails are lined up neatly so that when the hangers are inserted in the underneath of the rail there, they can pass between the rails with no problem. And also when you join the machine cut ends, which we always recommend to customers, you end up with a hairline join, so it's hardly noticeable. End caps for the rail. Now these are used if the rail is on an external corner, or maybe you stop in line with a window frame or something like that, and you've got an exposed end of the rail, which essentially is just an aluminium colour. There are colour matched end caps, which just literally push into the end of the rail like that. For the silver rails, we have grey end caps. Like I say, they're colour matched, so they look nice and neat. They're available for all of the systems. They're sold in pairs, and the difference between the systems is, so these ones are sold in pairs, but they're individually molded like this. That's for the Locator Classic. For the Locator Mini Rail and the Locator Extra, they're actually molded in pairs like this. Now, there's a reason for that. You can either cut this with a Stanley knife and use it as an individual end cap, and again, you just push it into the end of the rail like that, and when you've cut it off, that's the individual end cap. Or if you've installed your rail to the wall and you've got another wall that comes back here, so it's on a corner, you can actually double that back on itself and use that as a corner cap as well. So I'll just put the other rail in position. So when it's installed on an external corner, you've got the end cap that's still molded as one, so that's what I showed you before, but it's doubling back on itself and plugging into the rail like that. It's got a nifty little end cap. The only other thing to show you really is that the fixing for the mini rail, whereas the Locator Classic and the Extra is in two parts, the Locator Mini Rail has a clip screw. It's called a clip screw that's molded in one, and that's just due to the smaller tolerances in the engineering of the mini rail. It was easier to make a screw with a clip already on the end. So same idea, that just clips on like that, but it's just molded in one. And that's it. That's all three of the Locator systems. I hope that helps, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.